The following is a Cheeky Leprechaun production.
Pop culture is the entirety of ideas.
Me, Mario.
Let the bass kick.
I am the greatest.
Holy eggshell!
I am your father.
He works 8 days a week, that man. Like
In footy season, I don't know how they do it.
yeah.
Him,
Yeah.
Eddie Maguire. How
Well,
does Eddie
Eddie,
Maguire
I
do it?
reckon, hates his family, so I think he's easily he does it a lot easier.
That'll do it.
Because he doesn't really care about
I
going home.
heard. I don't know if I told you this. When I was working at Triple M, I heard that the way he gets up every day, because he gets asked by people flat out apparently, like, how do you do it? He goes, as soon as my alarm goes off at 4 a.m, I swing my feet out of the bed and put them on the ground,
Yeah,
and I'm up.
yeah.
He's like, I don't think about it.
Yeah.
I don't have that moment where I set multiple alarms. I set one alarm, and
Yeah.
when that goes off, I know my feet have to hit the ground.
Yeah.
That is just,
Reminds me a bit of myself.
it's work ethic. It reminds you of yourself.
Yeah.
You've always been an early to bed kind
Early
of
to bed,
guy.
early to rise. Yes,
Yeah.
but that has never been like that. Look, that's never been like something that I've planned. Like, this is what the successful people do.
Oh, well, you're an old man from a young age.
Oh, exactly right. Yeah. Well, my mum has always maintained that ever since I got glandular fever in year 10, that I have never got rid of it. Like,
Yeah.
from then on, I had to go to bed at like 9:30. And not because I'm
Do you reckon
like,
that was what did it? The
well,
glandular?
before then, I wanted to stay up. I wanted to watch Blue Healers, I wanted to do these things.
those classic Aussie crime dramas. I remember you when you got. We're obviously good mates at that point.
Yeah.
What was that year?
I think it was year 10. I took a month off
So you're about
school.
16.
Yeah.
16 was
Yeah.
the peak time, I reckon. I was. The dog's in here. He's barking. Look, there's somebody out the front, is there?
Yeah. I'm going to need you to shut that dog up, mate.
Hey,
I like dogs.
hey. Year 10, 16 years old, I reckon was the peak time. Mate, bedtimes, they're out the window.
Well, you were the opposite.
I was the opposite.
You were like, I stayed up watching David Letterman. I was like, dude, that's on at 11:30.
Mate, there was some nights I went on at 12,
Yeah.
and it still does, that late show. But I've always been, actually, I should say, I always had a part-time job, though,
Yeah.
which was a night shift type of
Yeah.
job. So I was working till midnight in high school. So I think we had different upbringing, Ben.
That is true because I didn't work at all. But
No, you didn't.
I waited for the holidays and then I'd work 1 or 2 weeks at my uncle's factory or another factory.
You did.
and make the same amount of money that people made throughout.
Yeah.
But not gaining any skills or anything.
No.
Just not doing anything during school.
And then having to make that money last for a whole term at school when we're going out trying to buy alcohol and stuff.
Yeah, I
You're a
don't know how I did
liability
it.
for a long time.
I still am. Some people would say.
It's any wonder you were drawn to the career of stand-up.
Well, true. Well, this is
Because that's not a proper job in a lot of senses.
No, it's not. Well, that's actually a really good point. I've never thought of it like that. But it's funny you mentioned that. I'm only just thinking this now, is that is obviously a nighttime gig. And I do really struggle with coming home from work and then trying to find this energy to actually go and do stand up. I mean, as I said, I'm in bed by 9 or 9:30 every night.
Yeah, your body clock's not accustomed
It's
to it.
completely out.
You hear stories of comedians, they're, in the beginning stages, they're not getting on stage until, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. in some of those inner city clubs.
Yeah.
You're sound asleep.
That happened to me recently.
You're in the middle of your REM, like that's
Yeah,
not...
exactly.
That's not good.
In the middle of REM.
Yeah, you're getting on stage.
Yeah.
Not ideal.
And on the flip side, I know how important REM is. So I'm conflicted.
You are.
Do I want to be healthy or do I want to be happy?
You're very health conscious. You've also got a health conscious girlfriend, which probably isn't helping the matter.
No. Well, she's health conscious in every way, apart from
Molly-
her diet.
Yeah, well, true. I'll hold her
But
accountable for
because
that.
she does so much activity,
But she's
gets
also
away
up
with it.
early. So
She's
that
up
suits,
way earlier than I am.
and
Yeah.
that suits your lifestyle together.
So what you're saying is I should get rid of her.
No, what I'm... Yeah.
Get a night out.
For the sake of the podcast, get rid of her.
Yeah.
Off mic.
I
Keep
didn't mean
her...
it. I
Maybe
didn't mean it.
reassess
I like
the
her.
stand-up.
She's-
I don't know. So, for you... I think it's been a little while. You got a full-time job and stuff. Hard to be
do.
getting on stage when you got a full-time job. It's probably been a little while now.
Yeah, been probably
Last year at some point.
Yeah, towards the end of last year.
At the moment, we're in Jan, so not that long. But
Yeah, towards the end of last year, it was just a little open mic. I was like, I'll just go and float a couple of ideas, and again, because I don't actually know that many people in that area.
Yeah.
Well, at least in the Melbourne scene, I was put on quite last.
Yeah.
I think I was like the second last in the last bracket. So it was a good 30, 35 people in the room until it dwindled. It kept dwindling and dwindling and dwindling. I was literally watching people leave at the end of every act because they just, like, to be honest, it got worse and worse.
Yeah.
And there was a good hour between a laugh, I think.
Because I've seen you in front of, as you just said, 10, 30 odd people, depending on where it is, when it is. And then I've seen you when you were opening for Luke Kidgel, another Melbourne comedian, on the comedy festival, and it was a sold-out room.
Yeah, it was about 100, I think. Still, yeah.
Tell
good
me,
room.
Jax.
He agrees.
Yeah, he's not happy. Tell me though, is it a point where when there's a smaller room, harder? Has to be, because
As in less people?
Less people.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, shocking.
100%. But I think that would make you in the long run better for it because, because I haven't done too many.
Yeah.
Like people would vouch for this if you're just starting out. You want to get your material right. You want to you just spend like hours and hours just honing on this one 5-minute bit that you've got.
Yeah.
Or however long it is, and you're like, I'm not going to deviate from this path at all. Like, anyone who distracts me, like, whatever, like, I'm just going to get straight back onto the joke.
Yep.
But when you've got, literally 4 or 5 people in the crowd and it's like 11:30 at night on a Tuesday, you're forced to go, oh, no, I'm going to have to ad-lib a bit of this or, like, have a bit of interaction.
I think the thing that would scare me most, I've always considered doing it, but the thing that would scare me most is in those rooms with less people, seeing the... being able to focus in on the disappointment potentially on their faces. They go, oh.
You learn a lot.
You learn a lot.
You learn a lot. And a lot of those rooms, the lighting's not amazing. So you can see every single one of those 5 people looking at you like, you're meant to make us laugh.
Yeah.
And you're like...
Nah, fuck that. Nah, not tonight.
I'm
It's
trying.
Wednesday, not tonight.
You should see me like at 12 p.m. on a Wednesday. Like, come over to like my backyard with my mates.
Yeah,
like,
I'm good. I'm
yeah.
quick. But like, I'm usually in bed 3 hours ago.
But now I'm just telling some joke about my auntie and like, like it is hard.
Yeah.
It's hard work. But everyone who's become successful from it, they all cherish those.
It's hard.
But it's so easy for me to just say this as well because it's like that's the thing you're meant to say.
Yeah. That's what you hear all them say.
You hear all them saying, and I'm just regurgitating it.
Yeah.
But I'm in the actual moment where this isn't past tense. It's actually this is what's still happening to me.
Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting when you have people like, and this is what we wanted to talk about today, was sort of just the current happenings with stand-up comedy, largely the specials that are out, like Netflix pumping them out. You look at somebody like Ricky Gervais, right? Big fan, as we know. I'm a big fan of him. Came to stand-up comedy in his 40s.
Yeah.
That's mind-blowing. But it also leans into that, well, maybe sometimes it's better to come to it later because you've got some life experience behind you. You've got you're a bit more almost confident in who you are as a person. Ricky Gervais would be key to that. He is the most confident with the fact that I'm a slob. I'm a piece of shit. I'm cynical. You understand yourself at an older age. And that's why you see Ricky Gervais in his 40s. I couldn't even think of being in my 40s and then starting stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
I mean, it does help that he had The Office.
Absolutely. You have
But your point is still...
You're forgiven for any shortcomings because, well, no, he was funny in that other thing.
Yeah.
So it's almost there was a vehicle to get him there.
Well, and I think he would admit that was a vehicle as well. No matter how successful it was, it's an amazing show. That's definitely a vehicle for stand-up. And you often hear a lot of people, like, they do something else so they get that open.
And it's usually the other way around, though, isn't it?
It
you
is.
and I have spoken about it. Look at Seinfeld, Jerry Seinfeld. He's the one that sort of highlights the trend in comedians of using stand-up as a vehicle to get what he had, which was a sitcom. In the 80s or early 90s, it was always, okay, I need to look at Jerry. They'd go to their agents, apparently. They'd be like, look at Jerry. I want Jerry's deal. I want to do stand-up, do some specials, have NBC come along and watch, and then they say, hey, do a sitcom for us. And that was, by and large, the rule of how things...
It was a formula.
It was a formula, and it happened with numerous people. Look at Ray Romano. You've got Kevin James, who had King of Queens. The list would go on, but there were a lot of people that had that Jerry Seinfeld-esque formula in their career.
Yeah.
But
And now-
the issue became probably people just started using stand-up as the vehicle
Absolutely.
to get there.
Yeah, a lot of actors or something using, hopefully I can come up with a good 10-minute bit.
Yep.
And I'll just hone that for however long it takes, years, and
it's
get
interesting.
That sitcom.
Yeah, it is. It's
And that's how
weird, though.
Friends was created.
That's how Friends. And that kids is how Friends. That kids is how I met your mother.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. The flip side now is that people, there seems to be this newfound appreciation and interest in stand up. And I think I would probably say because of Netflix.
It's amazing. Oh, 100%. And podcasting, I think, would be a good chunk of that percentage as well. Getting to know people's personality before they get on stage.
Yep.
So definitely, but Netflix has just opened the floodgates, really. But then, like, we're still in the thick of the storm there, so you don't know. Like, it's like people say how podcasting and Netflix is great for stand-up. It is right now. But who knows in the next 10 to 15, even 20 years, whether or not podcasting could actually be a detriment to stand-up. And what I mean by that is you get... So take someone really famous right now, like Chris D'Elia, who's I think he's getting better and better, and he's becoming one of my favorite comedians. His podcast is hilarious. I love his podcast, and he sells out all over the country. But what's not to say that the podcast gets so good where people actually are like, well, I don't really need to see him live anymore.
Yep.
I can hear him every week.
Yep.
Hear him just being himself. So. I mean, that's not based on any...
So, yeah, is his podcast... I'm not familiar with either podcast or his stand-up. I've been meaning to. You've told me for years I need to. But does his podcast sort of... Is it a nice a companion piece or vice versa to the other thing? So the podcast is a nice companion to who he's on stage and vice versa?
Yeah, I totally think so. Yeah, yeah. It's just... It's his way of getting at his personality.
Yeah.
And just really putting a spotlight on his personality. So then you're like, oh, this guy's hilarious. I'm going to see his stand-up. And when you go see him on stage, and if you've listened to 200 of his podcasts already... That's 200 hours of knowing a person, and then you're just like... You
kind of get the idea.
He doesn't
of
have to
what
warm
expect.
up. He's already on stage as if you've been doing it for half an hour. Everyone's already clapping. You're like, yes, this is the guy's personality. So it does. It just shines a spotlight on people's personality, which I think is huge.
Yeah, you're
them.
right. You're definitely right.
Yeah.
Because I'm the same with Mark Maron, WTF, the podcast. And then him on stage. So I was introduced to Maron through the podcast. I'd always heard, there's this really good comedian, and he had all these trials and tribulations about his career, and he's only really hit it in his 40s because he's got better life perspective. I was like, all right, cool, this sounds interesting. And you listen to his podcast, and it's fascinating. If anyone's looking for a podcast, one of these two are probably good ideas. But
Yeah, well, I mean, you just interviewed Brad Pitt and
Leo,
and Leo in the
at
same
once.
at
And
once,
like that-
and they were themselves too. Which
they
is
were.
awesome.
That was a really good podcast. And the thing is, though, that you're right in that he has this neurotic sort of sense of humor where very self-deprecating, all this sort of stuff. But that drew me more to him. I was like, I want to just listen to this guy. It made me source his stand-up.
Yeah.
So there is the flip side. There's negatives where, not to mention the other negative you didn't really touch on, is using a lot of material for free.
Yeah.
You're putting a lot of stuff out there that, like,
Yeah. But if you're a good comedian, I think everything is material. Like,
true.
just something that pissed me off walking to getting a coffee this morning. I could spend 5 minutes on a podcast talking about it, and I'm sure it would come across as funny. But there's a difference between that and making an actual bit about it. But you are right.
Well, yeah.
But a lot of people use that, and they do an hour every week on their podcast. I think Bill Burr does this. He stumbles upon something.
Exactly.
But then it works so well because he's so honest with his audience that he'll actually say, he's like, oh, I think I'm onto something here. And he'll flesh that out by himself.
Tune into the next special. It'll be...
Yeah. And you tune into the next special and you see he's developed this 5 to 10 minute bit on what he just stumbled across on his podcast. So
and
the
what
podcast
does it do?
wouldn't have got
It
there.
almost makes you feel involved.
You're involved.
Yeah, you're invested
exactly.
in it. You've
It's
got this
inclusive.
connection. You're like, I was there when he actually stumbled across that. Then suddenly you're like, hey, come look at this bit that he does, right? Listen to this. How funny is that?
Yeah.
I listened to the podcast where suddenly
it all
you've got
comes
this...
back to that.
You've got this, and that's what podcasting is to a large part, is that you have this emotional connection and investment in someone else.
You do.
Who you've never even met.
And they're the best podcasts, ones where they're truly being authentic. And so then it works the other way with the stand-up. Is if someone's got a podcast and it's a bit too produced almost, and it's a bit too like, I'm not buying it.
Yeah.
Then if they're not buying your podcast because they don't think you're being authentic in that's going to tarnish everything else or hinder everything else, because they're not going to want to see the other stuff you do. They're like, yeah, no, that guy's doing it to get ahead instead of just doing it because he loves doing it.
No,
you know what
exactly.
I mean?
Yeah, that's very true. I remember they got to a point with Marin where he started, because of his podcast, it's literally relaunched his career. And he's part of Netflix series Glow. Like, he's a series regular. He was in Joker. He had a walk-on role. He was on screen with De Niro and Joaquin Phoenix. Like, which is huge. And he's getting all
Brian
these opportunities.
Callen was in that for about 2 minutes as well.
He also was. But it is this weird thing where if they start getting bigger, I found this anyway. You stumble across these people on a podcast, and it's very personal. It feels one-on-one. That's the idea of it. You go on your phone, you're looking, or you get recommended. You go on, you download this episode. They say hey to you when you first get there. Okay, like we've got this thing going. Suddenly you see them on the big screen. You're like, oh, you never used to be doing that. Oh, that's cool. You start being like, are you going to outgrow the podcast? Like, that's our thing, man. And I remember that was a real thing for Marin. He had to try and find a way to keep himself grounded, because not only did his Netflix specials start taking off, he started getting movie roles, TV roles, and it was like, you're not becoming the niche cool thing anymore. Yeah. It's a funny balance to have. Yeah. But you are right in saying that most of these people having stand-up specials now, a lot of them are coming from the world of podcasting, and that's where they're finding their audience.
Well, that's Netflix for you. They're not going to pick up someone off the street who just happens to be good at stand-up. They want people to watch it. Yeah. And so it's like The Rock and Kevin Hart. Like, they're the hardest working people in the world. But look at their Instagram alone. They The Rock has 160 something million followers.
There's an audience.
So the movie doesn't have to be good. The people who produce it, like Universal and stuff, they just go, all he has to do is promote this on his channel, and we are guaranteed to have at least 20 million people go buy tickets to this.
Mate.
Like, it's a formula. So same with Netflix, they're not going to get someone who you have to already have that success a little bit, which is worth it, because it used to be a stand-up special didn't go to everyone.
Yeah.
Now it's as much as I still think it's amazing, it's almost like the word should be changed, because it's not special when there's thousands of them out there now, and there's different streaming services as well.
It's an interesting point you raise about having the existing audience. So when, for instance, this is how it can start this small and it can get bigger. So when Tim and I had the radio show we were doing, which
I love, by the way.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. It was good fun. You can find it at cheekyleprechaun.com. But when we had the show, we were in this development thing for Triple M, and there was a group of people that were involved. And then suddenly we found, and not to have sour grapes, but fuck them at the end of the day. At the end of the day,
grapes can be sour.
Yeah, they can. Everyone got filtered out, and they brought in this new crop of people, which were, ex-Bachelorette contestants, Georgia Love, people like that.
I don't know who that is.
She was the Bachelorette.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bachelorette, is that the one where the guy is? No, that she was on The Bachelor.
Was she hot?
Yeah. She's hot, but she's a newsreader from Tassie. That's where she started. Had a little following, went on The Bachelor, got a bigger following, and then was looking to, Bachelor's done.
They don't want to
expand her audience. Yeah. Why would you not? In their eyes, they go, well, we're going to get more listeners. They don't care about the content necessarily. Netflix, that's where I'm at the moment. I'm like, what's more important here? The content or the audience? Because Netflix have the benefit of being a subscriber-based network where they've got the subscribers largely. They're trying to get people who are probably... how many people are going to subscribe to Netflix to catch that stand-up special? I wouldn't think that's something that would
specifically
twist your arm. No,
I don't think so.
I think they're appealing to their existing subscriber base, which is different. So you're not looking for new subscribers through this content that you're bringing. So I think Netflix still does have a premium on quality, which is interesting given that they are a numbers-based system. And to your point, they're trying to get comedians with a following. They don't want no names. But it's almost like they want their their comedians with names is more focused on, we want our existing subscribers, not new subscribers, existing, to have some familiarity to this person.
Yeah.
So who did we see first? I mean, I think the first Netflix special was Bill Burr. He was the first one ever.
Was he?
Yeah, 2004.
So you know more about this than me. I love that you get me on your show to deep dive.
No. Well, I had to have some background.
Yeah.
Bill Burr was the first one, which I was surprised by.
Yeah.
Because 2014, I think it was, Bill Burr, maybe 2012. I wouldn't have known who Bill Burr was.
Really?
Would you?
Oh, 100%. But
Really?
that's because I've like...
Yeah, you're
He's
more
been a top
invested in the...
Well, he's been a top 3 stand-up in my eyes for probably most of my life. So that helped.
Yeah.
But definitely you're right that from an outside perspective, maybe you wouldn't have heard of him.
From that rule of thumb of existing
Bit older,
members...
not very good looking.
Yeah, well, that's true. But I don't know. I think then, so many years later, I think what the issue was with Netflix, right? I don't know. Tell me what you think of this. Before Netflix, it was largely HBO. HBO had the stranglehold over stand-up specials for a large... Comedy Central, HBO, those sort of paid subscription channels in the States. There was probably like a little bit of hesitation on comedians' parts to commit to, they're like streaming, like I'm not going to get actual physical numbers of how many people have watched. I'm not going to be getting paid every time this reruns because it's just going to be on streaming service. There was a lot of hesitation around Netflix. There still is to do a show on Netflix because in the years since, you've seen the big stand-ups come to Netflix. So initially, you can understand Bill Burr's, those people of the world who maybe at that time were more middle of the road. They've now created that door for those big names. They sort of laid the foundations almost.
Yeah.
It's interesting because think about the
definitely.
names you've seen since then. It's been huge comedians.
Well, and that's the idea, is to get a Netflix special, which I think you're slowly changing though already.
Yeah.
But this is the thing with you. Obviously, I think your last podcast was about Disney Plus, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. And like what they've done so well is they've basically like lent out their material to Netflix and stuff until they built their service, and then they just ripped it off.
Yeah.
Because they own it. So Netflix needs to own
all this.
That's
content.
why they've known this for so long. They've known that this was coming for ages. So they've been doing Netflix originals for a long, long time now, for a few years, and they're trying to just pump out as much content. They miss a lot of the time, to be honest. A lot of them hit, but their idea is like,
a lot of good shit.
They've got a lot of good shit, but it's not like HBO. Like HBO will throw out 9 things and do one thing and do it really, really well. Yeah. But they've been doing they've been doing this for so long. Like HBO was just like
HBO is a well-oiled machine.
Yeah,
at this point.
yeah. But Netflix is just like, no, we need content. We need it quick. We need it quick. So a lot of it does miss, but they own it. So the idea is like, if you're someone who's like tossing up between, do I pay for Netflix or Disney Plus or something like that? Is Netflix originals enough for me to actually give them my money? I mean, they still got my. Oh, actually, no, that's incorrect. They've got my mum's money.
I was going to say, do you not have Netflix?
No, I use her Netflix.
Yeah.
But so there's this competition. So they've always borrowed all these shows. And that's why like a lot of comedians now are starting to shift in other directions as well. There's a lot of up and coming comedians. And when I say up and coming, I mean like they're big already, but like not on the complete world stage. Like Andrew Schultz comes to mind. Do you know Andrew Schultz?
No.
So he's an American comedian, but he is absolutely like dominating the stand-up world. Like his crowd work is probably the best I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Just he did a whole half an hour special on, it's called Off the Top of the Dome or something like that, where he just had no material, just went out and talked to the crowd.
Jesus Christ. That stresses me right out.
He makes really good points that like, I think he just simply uses his own avenue. So he'll his website and like YouTube, stuff like that. So he knows that the money's not going to be like Netflix to start with, but he knows he owns that, and he will own that forever.
Content.
He owns the content.
And
so a
what
lot of
he
these
can do-
comedians are wanting to own their content because, again, it comes back to your podcast and stuff like that. They own that podcast, and then they have 500,000 people who listen every week. That's a lot of people. So why would you? I mean, you got to make money, and they love making money. So Netflix says, "I'll give you 20 million for a special." Yeah,
it's hard to say no.
All right, I can make up another hour of material.
Yeah,
but you got people like Andrew Schultz who are like deliberately saying like, "Nah, fuck that. I'm actually gonna. I know I'm onto something here," and I think he is too. And I think there's more.
What's your theory?
Wave.
What's your theory? Because I reckon I know what the theory is of why he's doing that. Besides ownership.
Well,
Ownership's key to this. I can't help but think, look at what else do Netflix do with their specials?
they take them off after a while.
They do that, but they also purchase old ones. So, for example, Bill Hicks. You'll see Bill Hicks specials from the 90s. You'll see all that Jerry Seinfeld from the 90s. You see all these things. Seinfeld owns all his. I know that for a fact.
Well, his net worth tells you that.
Exactly.
So that's
so
what
what
you're
do?
saying.
You build a library of
Yeah.
stuff. You build a fan base big enough.
Yeah.
You go to Netflix. You say, hey,
You can borrow this for 2 years.
you can,
but it's mine.
you can pay for it. Look at what Stan, Netflix,
Yeah.
Seinfeld. Every 3-5 years, whatever it is, Jerry Seinfeld makes another 90 mil.
Him and
because
Larry make so much
they
money
make
off the
bank.
reruns.
It's yeah. I don't know. There's something about, you're right, ownership of your content.
But it's been confident enough to know that you're going somewhere. Like I think if you're not someone who's realistically that good or going to go that far,
Yeah.
then yeah, like you want to make some money while you can.
There's a
But
fine line, isn't there?
There's a
you
couple
need to
people
be making
who,
money
who
when
are
you
special, and I think Andrew Schultz is definitely one of those guys. I think he's confident enough and almost cocky enough just to be like the middle finger.
can. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to familiarize myself with him. So what, you can just go on his website?
Website, yeah, just YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here promoting his stuff.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I think there's definitely a the only thing I think with stand-up specials on Netflix is there is a lot on there that I'm not familiar with, which isn't a bad thing because it does force you to, if you're doing nothing, you might stumble across a new comedian.
How likely are you?
I don't think I'm likely
to press play on a special because
on a special in general, mate. Not that. I have to be really intrigued. There's specials I'll get really excited about.
yeah,
But
lot
they
of
are,
hype.
but they're from people I've got a pre-existing
well, that's
connection
right.
with.
It's funny because you've the people you've had on this show very nerdy in their own right,
Yes.
like in their field.
Yep.
And then when you've asked me to come on, which I'm loving this by
Yep.
the way.
Yep. Great.
But I can't say that I'm like I do stand up and I write comedy like a lot. Mm-hmm. But I don't. I watch the best of the best, and I'm always studying, I guess. But but to be honest, I don't watch that much stand up. It's like I don't know. You just sort of if you watch something for too long, I think, and you do that thing, you can sort of like
Burn out from it.
burn out from it. But so you get me on, but at the same time, like I would like to know: are all people like that, where they want to know a pre-existing? They know someone from other things before they watch it.
I would think there's a lot of people that are. I think you've either got to be, well, you've just sort of proven this point wrong, but I would imagine you've either got to be like a real student of it, and you've got to want to be exposed and experienced with a lot of various inter-genres of stand-up comedy. And I think stand-up comedy is such an acquired taste, though, not only as the genre itself, but the comedians. They all vary so much. Their content is also different. So, for instance, Alan DeGeneres has a special on Netflix, and I've ummed and ahed over it numerous times, and I'm like, I do like Alan a lot. I know Alan is like the daytime talk show host. I'm like, yeah.
She was a stand-up before.
She was a
but,
stand-up before,
yeah.
and I've seen some of her highlights. Very fucking funny shit. But there's part of me, Ben, that believes you've got to be in the room.
What do you mean?
You've got to be in the room, in the theatre. You've got to be in the club where it's being performed.
Oh, yeah.
There is a detachment for me that happens when I'm watching on TV. I can be on my phone.
Oh, definitely.
It's not a genre that is demanding of your total attention and focus.
Yeah,
The other day,
because you might get grilled as well.
yeah,
It's live. Like
absolutely.
if
You don't want to be
point
that person.
Yeah.
And that's half of it. They keep you accountable.
Yeah.
Comedians.
Yeah,
being
they're like
on
a
stage.
teacher.
Yes. If you're out of line, hey.
If you're on your phone in class,
Yeah. Nah, you don't. So that's
I
that's
agree
true.
with that.
That's
If
true.
if I'm watching a Netflix special or watching a special, if I'm laughing watching it on TV, that tells me that is a fantastic comedian.
Yeah.
Because you're right. I will watch a special from start to finish, and I might laugh 2 or 3 times. Mm-hmm. And if someone says what was it like, I'll be like, yeah, it was really good.
Yeah.
And it was like the writing was good, the performance was good, but you're not pissing yourself. And whether or not that's because, you're right. When you're when you go see stand up live and then you see a good comedian doing a good room, there's probably no better feeling than like sometimes when you're in that audience.
You feel part of something.
Everyone's laughing. You're talking to people you've never spoken to before.
You're
in your
looking
life.
around. You're looking at people going, "How good is this? That is amazing."
So that's why I think that stand up will probably never go away.
No.
And I think it's the same as going to the movies. Like everyone's thought, like with your 3D, 4D. VR, like all this sort of stuff coming in, like AI, whatever you want to talk about. But as a human, though, I love just going to the movies.
That's absolutely. And I think what you've just sort of touched on is stand-up never going away. It's such an old form, isn't it? Like think about it, like clowns in the 1920s. You'd watch a clown. You'd watch a mimer. What are those?
Mimes.
Yeah, you'd watch a mime.
Yeah.
You
and
watch
Charlie Chaplin sort of put those together for a bit.
Yes, yeah. There's something about sitting and watching somebody do something that's meant to amuse you.
Yeah.
And you just sit there and you just wait. There's something so basic about it.
Yeah.
And
anticipation.
That's probably why that you see with stand-up specials, for the most part, they're all pretty bare bones. A stand-up special can be a guy, microphone, stool, and a slightly elevated stage, and people sitting down.
They're my favourite ones.
Yeah, and that's how basic it can be. That's why things at the Comedy Cellar in New York, like you watch those videos, it's so basic. There's a little sign behind him, and it's just a guy on a tiny stage. Like the documentary comedian, Seinfeld.
Yeah.
What's the other
Orny
guy's? Orny Adams.
Who, by the way, is actually starting to... I've noticed he's popping up a lot more in my Instagram feed and stuff like that. Like
He came to Australia last
Did he?
year,
Yeah.
and he was popping up all through my stuff too. And I maybe clicked on something at one point, and now I've noticed a lot of Orny.
Oh, yeah. A lot of Orny. Yeah.
But if anyone hasn't seen the documentary comedian and you're interested in sort of... Because I'm fascinated by how comedians' minds work. I think it's...
Yeah.
They operate on a different level. There's a reason why I'm not even trying it, because I don't think I have...
You should.
I don't think I have that though.
Let's do an open mic together.
Oh,
I reckon we could.
That's interesting.
Just 5 minutes. You've emceed weddings. There's not much difference.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot.
Maybe we can
There's a lot difference. You're actually flat out trying to make people laugh, and
You
not,
also know some of the room.
yeah.
I
and-
think
and
helps.
and you can roast.
Pity laugh.
Roasting
You can
easy
roast. Yeah, you
because
roast
everyone
people.
knows the
Everyone
groom.
understands the... Yeah.
Yeah, it is hard, but
But it is talking
But you
in front
talk,
of
but you
people.
keep bringing it up. You do keep bringing it up. So I'm not
Oh,
sure. If
here
you're-
we go.
No,
Here
I'm
we
just
go.
not sure if you just
Well,
sort of
I admire
like
it.
you're.
I do admire it though.
Yeah.
There's something about watching a stand-up comedian make a room full of people laugh. It's enticing and it's fucking fascinating.
Even watching
to watch.
someone bomb for me, I like really looking into their soul when they're bombing, because I've felt that before, and it is the worst feeling in the world.
Yeah.
But looking at someone else doing it's just like I don't know. Even that's beautiful in a way, because someone is learning a lot about themselves on the spot. Mm-hmm. It's very, very right away,
And it's very interesting to see a well-respected comedian bomb.
It happens all the time in Melbourne.
Yeah.
I won't name anyone, but there's a lot of
There's some shit out there.
There's a lot of radio presenters who are comedians who you go and watch their stand up and it's subpar.
Okay.
And like it's not like that sounds like it's a bit salty or whatever. But I think if you have a full-time job, which is on the radio, and you're working on that show all the time, and then you're doing stand up on the side. The stand up does fail a little bit because of that. You do need to spend a lot of time on it to be good at it. Like the best stand-ups are mainly stand-ups. They have their own podcast, but they don't do any prep for it.
Yep.
They just go, it pissed me off the other day, and they just go from there. But
more riffing rather than having thought out, structured.
someone who I have become to admire a lot in the last couple of years, who I didn't really like once upon a time, is Dave Hughes actually.
I saw Hughesy 2 years ago, and he popped up and did 15 minutes of the comedy. What do they call it?
Like Comics Lounge.
Comics Lounge.
Yeah.
Blew me away.
Yeah.
Couldn't believe
His
it.
stand-up is very, very good.
Yeah.
And I think it was because he decided to take time away from the project and from radio, and now he got the stand. He's your very clever, because he will do your radio and your your projects and stuff like that for a while. Take a little break from stand up.
Yeah.
He reaches he's a household name, and then he quits doing those things so he can get better at his stand up again. And he's just always got this sort of balance going, and really nice balance. Whereas some other people might do the radio for too long, and they will try and balance it at the same time with the stand up, and the stand up's just never as good because it's not that relatable, or it's a forced relatability. Like
I've got a theory when it comes to Dave Hughes, which could be very wrong, could be totally wrong. But I remember all I'd heard was, Hughesy, meh. Like, you won't... He's all right. He's annoying, or his stuff's not that funny. And then when I saw him... So Hughesy and Kate were famous in Australia. I think they were nationally for being a Nova breakfast radio show for 10 or so years. It was a long time. And you're right. He had that period where he was off and he was just doing stand-up and he was doing some like the project and stuff. And then Hughesy and Kate came back to Fox FM in Melbourne, again, nationally around Australia, and he does Drive. So he gets in the office at about, I've seen him walking about 2, gets on air at 4:30, goes till 6:30. There's something about Brekkie Radio, having done a little bit of it myself, fucks you up. You've got nothing.
Absolutely.
You've got nothing in the tank.
It would.
Now his day starts at 2:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Do a bit of writing in the
World's your
morning.
oyster.
I mean, if I was a stand-up comic, I would prefer that way around.
Oh, I think most people would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to my point, all I've heard lately is how good Hughesy is on stage. You got to see Hughesy. Again, I might be drawing a long bow here, but I just thought, that's an interesting correlation between what he was doing in his past and what he's doing
Definitely.
now.
It comes back to me. Being in bed by 9, being up at, 5 or 6.
If you could open your own comedy store, which maybe, the sets start at 4 p.m, be out the door by 8, in bed by 9. Wouldn't that be ideal for you?
It'd be nice, but
Close it.
But you're also not taking into account 99% of people who work 9 to 5. You start doing it at 4.
Yeah.
You get a couple tradies on their lunch break, and that's about it.
You're very right. Did you where do you sit with this is slightly off topic. I'll draw it back to where we were though. Andrew Dice Clay.
I saw him live.
Did you really?
Yeah, I saw him live. He played at the Palladium in Crown, which is a very Dice Clay place to play.
That is, I
don't like talking shit about people.
You're gonna though.
No, well, I'm not
it.
because I know him. I know him pretty well through the Joe Rogan podcast. Like that's how
I thought you were gonna say personally then.
No. But the personality. Like
what we were saying.
Well, I think Joe should be paid. I think Joe should be on a contract from your Netflix and stuff because all these other guys who are now huge, I found out through them from the Rogan podcast. Like it's all his good friends and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which he's propped them up huge. We won't get into that, but Dice Clay was one of those. And I don't know, not is it just okay to say not my cup of tea?
Absolutely. I think if anyone's an acquired taste, it's Andrew Dice Clay. I mean.
I laughed a lot when we saw it.
Yeah.
I
think you would because a lot of his stuff is shock humor as well. You can't believe when did you see him? A couple of years ago?
Probably 4 or 5 years ago now.
So,
but shock wears off if you're waiting for shock.
Yeah.
Like his stuff, I don't know, it's if you read it on paper or you hadn't seen it, shock. Yeah. But you're expecting it, so it's not shocking. Whereas you really have to work hard at the writing to maintain that shock.
Yeah.
Anthony Jeselnik. He's very shock humor. Do you know Jeselnik?
Yeah.
Yeah. But his writing is still getting better and better. You can sort of see where a joke's going a lot of the time with shock people. But he's always catches me off guard.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's a massive credit because he's working really hard on this is too obvious. If I give him this punchline, I'm actually going to go around and give him that one. Where I think Clay does give you that one that you expected.
Mm-hmm. That's true. But also I think that could be a matter of knowing what to expect when it comes to Andrew Dice Clay. And you're right in that you've got to find ways to keep yourself fresh. I don't think he has. I think, and when was he at his peak? In the 80s, I think it was.
Yeah, with the nursery rhymes.
Yeah, that's ages ago.
Yeah.
And not to mention a lot of the shit he does is hard to do now.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You can't. He's still doing Eddie Murphy raw AIDS jokes
Yeah.
about gay people.
Yeah.
He's still doing that in 2015. It's like, bro, I think you missed the memo. So,
Or did he not? Because
Well,
that's still an audience.
there
the
is-
people
yeah,
who
no,
don't
you're
want to go with that trend, which is fine.
Yeah.
I think that's great. You can find it, but it's hard to maintain and please that crowd.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm fascinated you saw him though, because I would have been interested
Yeah,
to see
well,
how I reacted.
a good friend of both of ours recommended him because he was obsessed with him, and I was like, yeah, I'll come.
Who'd you go with?
Ryan.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, loves him. He always quoting his like a little Mr. Muffet, and it's just like,
Yeah.
and you just always give that.
If
you
it-
give that little fake like.
See, I think, to be honest, where I came from, yeah, good one. There's nothing worse when somebody tries to recite a joke of another person's. I hate it.
I'll go out of my way not to do it
Yeah.
because I know I'll butcher it, and that's so disrespectful.
Sitting down today, I thought one thing I mustn't do is try and do a joke of somebody. It's
Yeah,
never good.
and
You're
it's never- no, it's
you're not in
never
the
good.
setting. You're not.
never
But yeah, Dice. I think I first saw on Entourage. That's where
Oh, okay,
That's where
yeah.
I first was like.
But
Who's
even
this
he
guy?
played
And
himself
Yes.
at the time as like this guy who's sort of lost his way.
Yeah.
Like he wants to get back in the game somehow. He will attach to anything, even if it's Johnny Drama, which,
Yeah, well, that's true.
which says a lot.
Here's a thought. I just stumbled across this thought. So
Looks like you're reading your notes, so I'm not sure if you just stumbled across it or not.
it's GarageBand. Look at that shit.
Oh, you're on GarageBand? Yeah, I like GarageBand.
Keep
It's
it
very
simple. Keep it
simple,
simple,
Yeah,
mate. Some
yeah.
of the biggest podcasts do it on GarageBand.
I used Audacity once, and it cut off half the interview.
I edit in Audacity, but I record in GarageBand. Very touchwood.
Yeah.
Does not fault. So anyway, what I was going to say was, here's a thought, right? So when we're talking about this Netflix stuff, comedy specials, they're trying to maximize their subscribers to, okay, yes, we're probably... First of all, can I just say, since 2014, or whenever it was they first did their first stand-up special, they've done over 230.
On Netflix?
Yeah.
230.
230.
At
Between
an hour
2017 and now, majority of those came out.
Does that... Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It really picked up pace. So obviously the viewers were
There's
there.
a formula that was working.
Yeah.
Let's just...
There is only a certain amount of money in the world, right? Pretty fair to say.
I actually think that's incorrect.
Is there? Can you just keep printing?
No, you can't keep printing, but no one's using cash.
True. It's all on card.
Yeah. Go on, as you're saying.
Netflix, they're not just in the stand-up comedy game. They're in a bunch. All sorts of shit they're making regularly. So their production costs would be pretty high now. They're a studio. They're now a functioning studio. You're putting out that many stand-up specials, right? Over 200. Largely between 2017 and now. I would say between 2017 and now, with that increase, there's probably been, I don't know, off the top of my head, from what's caught my eye, 5 stand-up specials a year where I've gone, I know that person.
Okay, yeah.
Therefore, I'd imagine high price tag on them. There was the Seinfeld one a couple years ago. There's been Adam Sandler's had one.
Yeah.
Louis had a couple.
I think
before the
Rock
thing.
got paid a
Chris
lot
Rock
to do too, I
mate,
think.
Eddie. We'll
Yeah.
touch on Eddie Murphy
Chappelle.
soon. Chappelle,
Yeah.
big names,
Yeah.
right? Higher price tag, but they wanted to pump these things out.
Yeah, yeah.
So naturally, they've got a lot of other ones which are, you might not know this person. What do we need? All right, we need something where we can introduce these people. Hey, we've got that deal with Jerry. Jerry's got that show, Comedians in Cars.
Is that Netflix now too, isn't it?
Netflix.
But is that Jerry loaning it to Netflix, or is it
Jerry
Netflix?
still owns it,
Yeah, yeah.
but there's a working partnership there.
Yeah.
I would argue you go look at the last couple seasons of Comedians in Cars, whether it's a big stand-up comic or a little known stand-up comic, they've all had a stand-up special in that window that season's come out. Perfect way to, who do we trust when it comes to comedy? Jerry. Jerry's funny.
Yeah.
Jerry says they're funny. They must be funny. I'll watch that stand-up special. It's pretty smart.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
I mean, he brought out that last season, and Eddie Murphy was on it. He was the first guest on season 4 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I messaged you. I go, hey, Eddie Murphy's on this stand-up on Comedians in Cars. I think he's starting to pop up a little bit.
Yeah.
What's happened since then? We're getting Coming to America 2.
Yeah.
Dolomite was
Yeah, I
my
didn't see
name,
that
or
one,
whatever it
but
is.
yeah. SNL.
SNL. So that is happening, and
Yeah.
Netflix signs a $70 million contract for multiple stand-up specials with Eddie Murphy.
So
That's
that you-
reported.
so
70
your-
million.
Your theory is basically using Jerry's as an advertising.
It's an
little
avenue.
bit,
I mean,
yeah.
Jerry's getting great guests on. but also Netflix.
love that show, by the way.
It's a fantastic show. And I got to be honest, I'm one of those people. I watch comedians in cars.
Yeah, you get a snippet of that personality.
The
and you're like,
start,
I like that guy.
yeah.
Or I like that girl. And you're like,
The start starts with Jerry going, one of the funnier people I know. I love her work. And you're like, Jerry really likes this person. You watch the episode, they become likable. They get a chance to show their personality, who they are. You see a little bit of their life. What kind of coffee they like? Oh, I feel like I know this person. Oh, there's their special. Fuck, you know what? Maybe I'll give that a go because, Jerry vouched for
they're
them.
also into almond lattes.
Mate, there's nothing
Which,
wrong
by
with
the
an
way,
almond latte.
well, there is.
I made you order an almond latte on your way here. I made you get me a coffee. You'll come to do my podcast.
Mate, that's how much I respect you.
thank you.
On a Saturday, this is being recorded
Yeah.
too. On Saturday morning, you made me get up.
I've been
and
up and
I'm-
active.
Well, I've been up and active because you
Yeah.
know I get a bit of betting on.
See, 10:30. You're almost
you
ready for your mid-morning nap.
You record this in your own home, and you were late.
I'd been elsewhere.
Yeah, so this is a message I got from you.
Yeah.
You were being late because one, you had guitar lessons first thing on a Saturday morning, and then
bettering myself.
No, I don't mind that. But
Yeah.
then in the same message, asked if I could order you
Oh, fuck off. That's not what happened.
an almond latte.
I said, would you like a coffee on my way through? And you said, I was thinking about going to Piccolo. Did you want me to grab you one? You can get the one after. So full disclosure, I will get you one back.
Yeah, no, it's
knowing
not
you-
about getting you a coffee. It's about you making me order that over the like.
Absolutely. I giggled when I sent it to you. I
Yeah.
could have asked for soy.
Yeah.
I would argue soy's worse than almond.
It is fermented. That's a proven.
Is that
fact.
a thing?
Nah, I don't
Soy
know.
milk
if that's a
no good
thing.
for you?
Not for men. No, estrogen or something like that.
Good to know.
The twinkle in your eyes just went, oh crap.
No, well, okay, so
All this hard
off topic.
work.
I mean, we're slightly skewing
it's
off
on
topic,
the
but it's
topic
good. It's good
of-
stuff.
yeah.
Went to big T2 guy. Love my tea.
Well, that doesn't surprise
I mean,
me.
almond lattes, nice cup of
Teas,
tea.
yeah.
It's all making sense.
Panties.
Sensitive new age guy. Okay. In T2 the other day, and I'm doing the samples. I'm floating around. What's this? Oh, it's a cold tea. Okay. Yum. I get to one, and
Was it cold because it was
it
just
was
sat
ice.
there for
No,
a
it was
while?
iced tea.
Oh,
Iced
okay,
tea.
right.
And then they go, "Oh, you want to try this new blend?" And I was like, "Yeah, great." I'm up there with the orange little cup, sipping, slurping away. And they said to me, "Oh, it's made with soy milk." And I thought, it's delicious. Maybe I need to make my teas with soy milk.
Soy milk's not good for you.
Yeah, apparently not, because you meant it is.
Well, not just that, and I'm not sure if that's true. I have said that.
We'll hear about it.
But if
it's
you
not
read
true.
the nutritional information on it, which I'm a big fan of doing, it's very high in things that if you try
Things.
that high in carbohydrates and sugars.
It's
and,
quickly sounding like something you heard on Joe Rogan.
No, I've read one recently because I wanted
really?
to start switching. Because when I have some certain shakes at home, I have
Get a little pooey.
I actually like almond milk myself.
Well, screw you then.
Well, I'll just never order an almond latte. I mean, you try,
Latte's already a little...
yeah, and then
Yeah.
you've just gone almond. Like, I actually got asked if it was for my girlfriend. I said no,
Fuck off.
she's not a loser. So it was like,
She's not a loser.
but no, I mean, I've just I don't mean to brag, but just long black for me.
You're one of those guys. There is a certain person that is just,
No calories.
people have a
Gets you
way of
going.
showing their status as a human, or they feel like they do in
Absolutely.
their coffee order.
Absolutely. This is
fascinating.
Melbourne. It's 2020, mate. You want to get ahead, you order long blacks.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I've got a percolator.
I'll make
at
the
home.
sweet. Well, maybe we'll try one after this.
Yeah. I might try an almond latte after this.
We'll see how we go.
We'll see. Well, I don't want to have too many coffees because,
Nah.
9 p.m.'s my
Bedtime.
shut eye, so...
Tell me. I think we need to discuss this. What would be? I want to hear. We spoke earlier about there's a difference between watching a stand-up special and laughing out loud. There's yeah, that was good, or even just registering in your mind. That was funny.
I like what they did there.
I want to hear what are some of the stand-up specials spring to mind when I say what's made you just laugh your ass off.
We touched on him earlier for literally 1 second before because it's a taboo to mention his name these days.
Yeah,
But-
you heard when I mentioned it,
But no,
Yeah.
I hear everything.
Louis.
Yeah, there has been no one who's made me laugh as hard watching. I've never seen him live. I probably would still.
Let's talk about that before we continue with that. Let's branch off. Where do you sit on Louis C.K.?
What do you mean? Don't put me in this sort of like
No, I'll talk about it.
stronghold.
No, I'll talk about it with you because I don't It's fucking hard. I heard somebody talking about it the other day, and to be honest, I got sucked into thinking I knew more about the situation than I did.
But this is the thing. This is why I don't want to comment too much because I'm not one to read too much into things. I haven't read that much into it, so it would be an ignorant point of view.
Yeah.
All I know is at the end of the day, his stand-up comedies
Yeah.
makes me absolutely like lose it.
I've heard
Lose
that
it.
his new stuff, because he's back. Do you think
back-
he should?
back in New
Do you
York.
think he should be back on stage?
I think he can do what he wants.
Yeah, it's stand-up comedy. That's one of the things, isn't it?
Did he go to prison?
No.
No.
Where do you sit on Bill Cosby?
Well, that's a fun. This is where I sit on the whole thing.
Yeah.
Is that those two things are not that similar.
No, they're not at all. They're not at all. But it's somebody.
But
It's
this
a
is the thing.
comedian.
We like to rope everyone in. Even Aziz got roped in because he had one bad date.
Yes. Wait, who?
Aziz Ansari. He
okay,
even got
sorry.
shamed
Yeah.
because I don't know.
I don't know anything about that one. To
No,
be
well,
honest.
neither.
But you know what? And you know
But
what the issue
Cosby's
is?
a piece of shit. I'll say
Cosby's a
that.
scumbag. Do you? This is a good question that I always hear being asked. So with these people, right? Do you find it different to go back and watch their stuff?
Not personally, no.
No.
No, I mean, I'll watch it and I know in the back of my mind, it's like, it's almost a guilty pleasure. It's almost like I want to watch it more.
You feel a little naughty.
I'm like, I shouldn't be. Like, this guy's been shunned.
Yeah.
It's like his stuff's obviously been pulled and stuff, but you can still find. And again, going back to talking about Andrew Schultz, Louis owns his stuff. So all of like Louis' website, like he's got his own shows, and like obviously there's Louis and the other one, and
So he's still got control. Had Netflix owned his shit, and then
that
this
could
happened,
completely squash him.
yeah,
Could completely
they'd bury
squash
it.
him.
They'd
Yeah.
bury it forever.
Yeah. I think, well, with stand up, you're your own. You're a sole practitioner. You own your own business. So
It's so
to say that
fucking-
he
it's
can't do
weird.
stand up anymore, it's like, who are you to say that you don't own? Like, you can boycott, you can not go, but I guarantee there's still a lot of people who love his stuff.
Just to give you an idea of where I sit, right? This is, and it changes with everyone. Like, I'll feel different about each person, but it does largely depend on how much of a connection I've got to that person. So, to switch gears a little bit, I think a lot of people be familiar with this. You get stuck into me all the time for being a wrestling fan, right? You love it. You love getting stuck into
Almond lattes,
Yeah, almond
wrestling,
lattes,
guitar
wrestling,
lessons.
lovely.
T2.
Are you familiar with Chris Benoit?
Well,
Everyone is.
Yes.
Everyone is. What do you know about Chris Benoit?
Only that you and our other friend Lucas talk about him all the time.
Yeah.
I actually don't know anything about him.
Do you know how he died?
Chris Benoit?
Yeah.
I thought that was Eddie Guerrero who died.
He died too, but for far less bad reason. Chris Benoit killed his wife
Oh, shit.
and killed his disabled son, and then hung himself. Triple murder suicide. So he killed himself by hanging himself from
Isn't
his
it
weight
double
bear.
murder
Double
suicide?
murder suicide because he did
I don't
not
think he counts.
murder
That
himself.
cancels out, I think, if you kill
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
that
Double
doesn't count
murder,
as a
suicide.
Yeah.
Triple murder suicide.
I think
is a
murder has
nicer
to be another
ring.
person.
Anyway,
No, but that's awful.
so that's that, right?
Yeah.
So already way fucking worse than what any of those other people have just spoken about did. Not saying what they did isn't bad, but this person literally murdered people, okay, and murdered a child. So really fucking bad. Not to lessen any of the other ones, but I still find myself wanting to watch his stuff because I'm like, he was one of the best ever. And had he
How
not
do you
done
become
that,
one of the best ever in I'm so ignorant, I'm sorry. But
You
how do
are very ignorant.
How do you but at least I can admit that.
yeah, absolutely, that's fine.
What makes the
You're a
best stuff
performer.
in terms of...
You're a performer. You
Yeah,
have
yeah.
an ability to make what you're doing seem believable.
Yeah.
And make it seem realistic.
Seems believable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe I'm not watching the correct
I'll
stuff.
send you a YouTube link of this guy, right? He was this jacked little bloke, and you'd believe he'd beat the fuck out of people. You're like, yeah, no, I could see that. And he'd put them in moves and submissions, which you're like, that would hurt if they put that on. He would fly off the top rope and headbutt people, and you'd watch his head hit it, and they reckon they
was gonna ask.
They reckon that fucked him up.
Did they study his
Concussions.
brain after? They did?
So he had the brain of a 90-year-old. They reckon
Really?
when
Did
he
he have
died.
CTE like the
Yes.
footballers?
Yeah, bad.
Yeah.
Bad. But it was undiagnosed because it was...
Well, at the time, it's only becoming a thing now.
This is mid-2000s.
Yeah,
this
that's
happened.
in terms of science a long time
Scary.
ago with what they're coming up with. Same with Aaron Hernandez. Have you seen that documentary?
No, is he...
He was the tight end from the Patriots.
No,
got
I've
done
heard
for
about
that
the
murder
documentary.
and got off on
is this
another double.
Is this the new thing on Netflix?
Yeah, Inside the Killer Mind.
Yes, I've got it. It's
Fascinating.
It's on the watch list, mate.
Fascinating.
Apparently it's really
Fascinating.
good.
The best documentaries are the ones where they set out as one one idea and then it just evolves.
Yeah, suddenly there was all these other things.
Realize, yeah,
I love
but like not to ruin anything, but it looks like he had that same injury in that brain, and a lot of people are like, it doesn't excuse this or that. Well, it's like, well, if you can like murder your wife and son, there is obviously something not right.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Clearly, there's something in your brain not right. And
Yeah.
especially if at one point they're people you loved, and then what, you
Exactly.
suddenly turn around and just snap.
What if you still loved? What if you still did?
Yep. Well, why do you kill yourself? I mean, that could be.
Well, you wouldn't be able to live with that.
No, because you've just murdered people. You're
Yeah.
like, what did I just do? I mean, that could be one thing that he felt.
Yeah.
What did I just do?
But the
Fuck.
brain of a 9-year-old, how old was he?
Late 30s, early 40s.
Shit.
It's fucking, that's
insane.
That's more than double his
insane.
age. That's crazy.
I know we spoke about Ryan earlier, our friend of ours. He was a really good boxer. He like under 18s, that sort of thing, and he, well, very smart guy as well. Like studied law, economics, and this sort of stuff. And he made an active decision to stop doing boxing at a very young age because of these things. Too many shots to the head. It's not good for you.
It's not good for you at all.
It's not at all good.
So
for
I
you.
guess what we're learning here is that actually maybe, you know,
that Louis still really good at
Louis.
stand up.
It's like, has Louis taken shots there? Maybe not.
No.
But yeah, I don't know. There is something. I think the difference is in this situation, right? A comedian, you're wanting to laugh at. You're wanting to go. You want to give them validation by laughing at what they're doing.
Yeah.
There's something then that is stopping you from wanting to give them validation, whether it be clicking on the video and laughing along, or being in an audience and laughing at them. There's something you want to take ownership of how their life and how they're feeling in their life by sitting there and being like, that's not funny. Sucked in. That must feel like shit. Bet those girls felt like shit. Piece of shit. That's the stance people take. People want to somewhat retaliate by trying to take control back of their thing. So like Louis' thing is stand-up comedy, making people laugh. They're like, fuck you.
Yeah.
You want to do that? Guess what? I'm not going to listen. I don't know. That's just like, because what else do you do? I can't do anything to Louis.
No.
And to be honest, I don't want to. I don't care enough. Mind you, there is something about him that feels a little bit dirty about him being out there making jokes about the whole situation. Again, all I can go off is a New York Times article I read, and then the conflicting views I've heard from his friends, both of which are compromised views. New York Times wants a good story to sell. These friends kind of want to help
Backing
their
him
mate.
up,
Yeah, they're like
It's
downplaying.
left and right.
It's,
we don't
where
have that
do you
middle.
sit? I don't know. Where
Most
to
people are
sit.
in the middle, but you only hear about the left and the right.
Who do
And
you
I
vote-
don't mean political. Like politically, yes, but on
Who do you vote for? It's the
Yeah.
same thing. It's like, I don't
But
know.
that
what to
also
believe.
works for Louis. You said like the people who are like, oh, I can't. I just straight no. It's
Yeah.
straight no. And
It's a
there's
straight no.
and there's also people who want to fuck those people over.
Yeah.
So they go, yeah, well, watch this. I'm going to go buy a ticket. I'm going to go buy 10 tickets and invite my friends because I hate your attitude towards these sort of things. So like,
fucking-
nobody could have this like middle of the range. Like he fucked up. He fucked up.
No. But I'll give
let's-
him look,
You know.
look, let's give him a go, see what happens. No one's into giving a go.
Yeah, this won't fly. This attitude, but
No, I don't know, man. All right, so that I derailed that enough there because you said Louis. Is there anyone else where you've watched and you've just gone, that is...
Bill Burr, mind you, I haven't watched the whole of his latest one, Paper Tiger, but I
Paper
think
Tiger.
a few years ago.
I watched one of his the other day, a couple of weeks ago. The black and white one.
Oh yeah, I like
didn't-
that one.
I didn't find it that funny.
Really, I like that one.
I love Bill Burr. Huge
Yeah,
fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't know if I was in the mood, the right
Yeah.
environment. There was something just not grabbing me about it. It could have been the black and white, but that's what I like about him. He's different.
Yeah.
He likes those old school things.
Yeah. Who
Bill
else?
Burr's a good one.
Well, you said Ricky earlier. Ricky makes me laugh so much.
Mate,
He's
his
just-
most recent one,
yeah.
Humanity or whatever it is. It's
Actually, you know what? I don't think I've seen Humanity. I watched the one before that, which wasn't that long ago either. Or was that Humanity?
I think that was Humanity, the most recent one on Netflix. That
Well, how
a
recent?
year or 2 years ago.
Yeah,
that was unbelievable.
Oh, his dog bit on that was that actually made me cry.
Yeah.
Watching it on TV.
That was the only thing stand up wise I've seen in the last, I don't know.
Again, you've got like it can be so diluted that you will actually just watch the ones that you know are going to be good because it's an hour of your time. Do you want to waste it on someone who got there maybe because they're in the right circles or in the right movements?
Yep.
Or someone who is genuinely going to make you laugh.
And
I'm going to watch the person who makes me laugh.
Yeah, and you want to know that their sense of humor, their style, fits your sense of humor.
Yeah,
You
I've
wanna
got a
know-
very wide sense of humor. Like I laugh at a lot of things.
I do, but I know for a fact Ricky Gervais, 99.9% of his material will tickle me just
Yeah.
the right way
Yeah.
because I love that humor. I love
Just that almond latte sort of way. Just that slight tickle.
It's got a good taste.
Yeah, like you just that chuckle that the doctor from Herb from The Simpsons. That sort
That's
of
a deep ball. Nice.
yeah. Sebastian Maniscalco, his stand-ups are fucking beautiful.
Mate, comedians in cars. I was like,
Yeah,
who?
true.
I was like, who is this guy?
That's what got and Joe actually a combination of
Yeah.
Rogan and if you can get on Jerry and Rogan,
It's a nice balance.
Who a lot of people who are on one or the other because
Very
Rogan's
different.
friends really aren't probably that style of that
No.
comedians in cars. They're more clean and sort of like
Yeah.
that sort of thing. But Sebastian's managed to get his hands in both worlds.
Where's he from again? He's international, isn't he? He's from overseas somewhere.
No, he's American, but Italian background.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
got the. What I meant is he has an accent.
Oh,
which-
he's got that. Oh,
yeah.
I think is it Boston or I think it's no. We grew up in Chicago. Yeah, Chicago. Yeah.
I feel like he had enough of an accent for me to be like,
The-
maybe I'm
the
thinking of a
accent-
different guy. There was another guy on Comedians where he was
Italian guy.
massive internationally.
Well, he's big internationally.
Yeah, maybe it is him. And I was like,
He tells
oh,
he
shit.
tells that story about his dad, who's
Yeah.
very Italian. Like,
yeah. No,
like
the same
there's
guy.
there's no man cave.
Maybe that's what it was.
Mate,
I'm
mate.
simplistic enough to go, an Italian story with a
Yeah.
lot of Italian in it. It
Well,
must clearly in an
there's
Italian
so many
comedian.
accents in America as well. Yeah, and
true.
especially with that Italian heritage and your Bostons and your is it Boston?
I think
No,
Boston's
they're
got
more Irish.
the Irish, American
Yeah.
Irish. He was one though that comedians in cars
Yeah.
told me. What do you sit on like? We spoke about it before. Eddie Murphy.
Where do I sit on it?
Where do you sit on Raw and Delirious?
Those are two of my brothers. So I'm the youngest of four, and my eldest brother, who's 8 years older than me. You're a big fan of Tim.
Yeah,
Burke.
great
Yeah,
guy.
Yeah,
G'day, Tim.
yeah, comes out with some zingers.
Yeah.
He not directly because I used to go behind like my mum's back to get my hands on these sort of things. I watched Delirious and Raw when I was probably 11.
Yeah, you probably didn't even understand half of what they're talking about.
Yeah, I like the voices made me laugh.
Yeah.
Like Eddie, like
Yeah.
that sort of stuff really made me laugh. And then like you watch it a bit. Like I watched one recently, and yeah, it makes you laugh, but it doesn't hold up in terms of like there are some things in society that are so drilled that like like you can't be saying these sort of things.
Yeah.
And I get that. We should be, I think I'm all for being progressive if it's there. I think some people go too far, but that's a completely different realm.
No. I get what you're saying.
But I think Eddie, he was like 20.
20,
21 or 22. Like, he was young.
when he got cast on SNL, I think he was 18. So yeah, he
Young.
was young.
That's
And he's still
young.
like he's like in his 50s now. He's not that old.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of the best comedians say he could still come back and do
he
stand-up.
is. So it's gonna be fucking.
Well, I hope
really
he does
interesting.
because I would love to see it.
apparently he is.
Yeah.
He
Well,
said-
are you saying there's a big enough movement out there that people are like, no, he doesn't. He shouldn't be able to with the stuff that he put out.
No, God, no.
40 years ago.
I think there's more of an interest from people to go, like that's
Yeah.
really exciting. But I'm curious to see what Eddie's like in 2020 compared to
Yeah.
the stuff he could do back then.
Yeah.
Also, a very wealthy Eddie Murphy. Like some people, that shit impacts. Like
Yeah.
Seinfeld, it hasn't impacted because his comedy isn't
Well,
tailored
he takes the
to.
piss out of him being a successful Jewish man.
Yeah, his comedy is based on his mind. Yeah, which is a Jewish
Yeah.
neurotic
which he can
guy.
do until he's... Yeah.
Gervais came into money late. So
Yeah.
all he knows is not having money.
He
So
knows
he's-
spoiled brats.
Yeah, he knows
Yeah.
spoiled brats and he plays it up.
Yeah.
Whereas, Eddie, I don't know. No one knows. It's
And he's
unknown
had
at
money
this point.
from it for... Yeah.
And he's been retired. He hasn't done anything in like 15 years. And when he did, it was like a shit kids movie.
Well, then, like, I agree with that, but then I guess contrast Chappelle. He's come back and done 2 specials lately, and he's still Chappelle. It's still, even though he is so wealthy now, he's not detached at all.
they say
He
that-
still gets it.
They say Chappelle was... So he went and lived in Africa for, what was it, like 10 years?
Yeah.
It was like 8 to 10 years or something.
That'll do it.
They reckon that, like, the thing is, though, he never actually stopped. There's stories of Chappelle way before he came back on, like, with a speaker and a microphone in Central Park in New York.
I've heard that.
Just doing stand-up, standing there, and people just being like, that's fucking Chappelle, man. What the... And then they're gathering around. There's something about doing those bare bones and, like, you're just out there naked, essentially, by yourself, not even with the protection of a club. Like, you've got this club back and you're going, they're good enough for us to put on stage. You're just standing there Just you. And mind you, he's Chappelle. Like
The
you
balls.
get,
But that's the
balls.
thing, because he's Chappelle, like he doesn't have to do that, but he's done
No,
that.
but he'll do it.
And that's probably why he's still great.
You know who I watched the other day? I'm curious to get your input here. So, a bit before Eddie's time, probably, I don't know, 10 or so, actually probably 10 or so years before Eddie, Richard Pryor.
Oh, yeah.
Where do
Yeah.
you sit on Pryor?
Well, because of our age, obviously, I don't have the exposure other
Yeah.
than the ones that's out there.
See, I was exposed by Dad.
Yeah.
Dad
Yeah.
introduced me.
Loved him. Loved the stuff.
Yeah, Live on the Sunset Strip
Yeah.
is quite possibly the funniest thing ever.
And the way they shot that, like people still walking in.
Yeah,
Like
crazy,
he's just like
right?
ushering people, like sit the fuck down.
Yeah,
Like,
seats down here.
yeah.
Pull them up.
Yeah, it was more of a. It wasn't like now that it's a show. It's like ladies and gentlemen, and then everyone applauses and they do an hour and then they get off.
Yeah.
that was like I'm here, like I'm like before the doors are even opening. Like you sit down here, like he's ushering. He's
Yes.
managing everything he's doing.
Absolutely.
the
He
stand-up.
came on stage early in the one I watched.
Yeah.
And there was people trying to get back, and he walks out. He's like, "Oh, this fucking."
You know who did that recently? That I saw at the Melbourne Comedy Festival last year. James Acaster. He's a British comedian.
I know. Yeah, I know.
If
the
you haven't
name.
seen him,
Yeah.
If anyone from Melbourne or whoever's listening, do yourself a favor if he comes back to the comedy festival.
Yeah.
he is he's hilarious.
Okay.
And he was, when doors opened at 8:30, he was sitting on the stool.
Oh bullshit.
But he had these sunnies on, and he had this. He was just playing music on his iPod, like music in the whole theater, and he kept coming back to this one song of I can't remember. It's called 2017.
Yeah.
It's Anthony Bennett. I don't know if you heard that song.
I don't know.
It was about 2017 being.
So almost that's like performance art,
It
right?
is though, because
Yeah.
he kept playing other songs, and he kept coming back to this one, and did this little like he would just like every time it would come on, he would like look out into the crowd and like
It became a joke in
became
itself.
it was a joke in
before
itself.
the show's even started.
But what was beautiful about it was the show itself was about how 2017 was the worst year of his life so far, like the most fucked up, or like
Did you know this while he was playing the song?
No,
So
no,
it's
and it
hilarious.
was
It's
beautiful
almost,
because
and
at the
was
end of
2017 seemingly to you a metaphor for how good's 2017, and then the show begins and it's like piece of shit year. Is
but
that sort of the
but
message?
the song, the lyrics in the song was about, because Anthony Bennett went number one in the NBA draft and he was a complete bust. And it was like I was just like Anthony Bennett, like so like I think it was about break up and all this kind of stuff. And then he did a whole hour of how 2017 was, and then it was just like, oh, it's beautiful, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Whereas like I think British comedians in particular are fantastic at doing an hour on something. Like, you know, for example, this one is 1 year of his life, which was terrible.
Yep.
Whereas like, and this is just more my opinion, but then in your more American style is like 5 minutes of this, 5 minutes of
As we said before,
Instagram, 5
Gervais,
minutes of-
humanity. Like it's all tailored around
yeah,
humanity.
and they
really.
bring it all back. And I think like I love both, for the record. I love both, but I like there's something special in that. Like you can curate that whole thing
Yeah.
around that. I reckon that's awesome.
So if we'll wrap this up. What if there's one you could tell someone to go away and watch? What's something you know what? I'm going to scratch that. Something Netflix. Let's go. That was sort of the premise around us sitting down and chatting today. Something Netflix has put out that you go, that was really good. Go watch that. Rather than a classic.
Rather than the classic.
And I want something left of field.
Something recently-ish.
Might have put you on the spot a
A little bit, but one that keeps coming to my mind is not that I want to say it, but then it's like, no, but like credit where it was due. Ali Wong. Her stand-up on Netflix.
She's a big name too, Ali Wong.
Well, that's the thing. It's not left of field.
Nah,
big.
it's all right because mine's actually the one I was most impressed with isn't either, so that's fine. Ali Wong, apparently that was really good.
It was hilarious. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. And you know what? She has that female market wrapped up. Like my girlfriend who doesn't know anything about comedy. Like she's
Yeah.
a funny girl, but
Backtrack,
and if you're listening, I love you.
Yeah.
She was like, you have to watch this special with me because I watched it and I was wetting myself. I was like, all right, like.
Oh, so she
the amount of times
put
I hear
you onto it.
Yeah, but I'd heard that too. But like, look, this is really bad. But when you hear it from that perspective, you're like, okay, like.
Yeah, there's something about being told what comedy to watch that's a little bit like, it's
when
a
you-
big commitment.
I guess, yeah.
And when you also you question their sense of humor.
Well, that's true. Like,
Yeah, of course.
You learn a lot about a person by the stand-up they
Yeah.
recommend. So
Yeah.
I recommend everything. but I watched it with her, and it was like she is very, very funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but
And that was a surprise packet.
Well, it was, but it wasn't because she is big, and there's a reason she's big because she's great at it.
Yeah.
She's great at stand up, and she's a funny actor as well. But I guess that's my one. Because as I said earlier, though, I don't watch that much.
No. See, I think the one we've put out there the ones we think are iconic and great, but if we're going ones that we were surprised by, I honestly didn't know Adam Sandler to be a stand-up.
Okay.
Right? I knew him. I'm an Adam Sandler fan.
We grew
up.
up when Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison, Big Daddy.
We were right in there. Big Daddy was
right
huge
in there,
for me.
right when our brains were just developing. Like,
So he's naturally going to be in there. And I can watch an Adam Sandler movie. People slam it. I watch most Adam Sandler movies.
The only reason I've ever slammed is, when I say recent, like last decade, is because he has been paid a lot of money from Netflix to create these movies, and they are more for younger audience. Like, like they're more children's movies. There's nothing wrong with that.
There's a reason why we liked him as kids. His humor plays to a kid. It's very childish.
Yeah,
it is. It's very innocent and simple. Like he's a simple character.
Yeah.
Did you watch his special?
I haven't. Is this new?
It's the Certified. Was it called Certified Fresh or something, or 100% Fresh?
And that's the new, like this year or last year?
Last year, maybe the year before.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen it.
Mind blowing. His ability. You know what because this isn't my thing really, but musical stand-up comedy.
Did he?
Virtually the whole thing revolves around songs, and there was the whole Adam Sandler was kind of known for his songs that he did.
Oh, true. Yeah, he had some great ballads.
I'm trying. Yeah, I'm trying. Yeah.
The one in Billy Madison stands out where Veronica Vaughn punches him in the pool, and then
and there was that like whole strap on a dildo and I'll give you head at a medium pace. Remember that one? Do you remember Medium Pace? Yeah, Medium Pace was a great song. They were things that he was famous for.
Medium Pace is good.
If anyone hasn't listened to that, go listen to Medium Pace by Adam Sandler.
Or had Medium Pace.
Well, that too. Not bad.
So Adam Sandler.
Adam Sandler purely based on the fact that it was different. It was...
Okay. But that's ballsy that he went different too, because he's Adam Sandler. You would think you'd play it safe like Alan did.
There's heaps going on.
But that's great. Musical.
Music,
cool.
Something
that's
different.
Like Bo Burnham, who's huge now. I don't even know if he's got Netflix. He probably does, but like he has a huge
I have no idea who that is.
You'd have to look
just
him
to
up.
stay like,
but he brings in entertainment as well. So like piano and different sort of music and stuff like that. Not always my cup of tea, but I like a traditional man with a mic.
Well, you got to think Steve Martin. That was probably my first and only experience to music being tied in with comedy was Steve Martin with the banjo.
Yeah,
and even he tours now with
Steve
Martin
with
Shaw.
a banjo.
Steve Martin with a banjo is iconic.
Yeah,
some would say, and like the arrow on the head, like fucking simple shit.
Yeah, Jim
but
Carrey.
there's something where you can go and. Like, I watched this and I didn't realize I liked musical comedy. Like, when I say musical comedy, I'm struggling for the correct term, but music mixed with stand-up it's interesting. It's different. There's songs, there's a story that they're telling through music to give it a pace, which I was like, that's really interesting.
Every time I've seen that live, I've always thought, this is really clever.
Yeah.
But
you're almost too much in awe to really...
Exactly. I'm more impressed than laughing. And for me, I want to laugh when I go see stand-up.
That's true.
Like, that's the only, that's for me, like, you know, like your Hannah Gadsby, for example. Like, did it, like, I laughed and cried whilst watching that for the first time. And I went in with a bit of a negative mindset, like, I've heard all this stuff.
I haven't watched it because I think I've got the similar mindset.
And yeah, like at the end of I don't know what you would call it. I don't I know there's probably a lot of people out there who are big fans of it, and that's fine. But I wasn't. I didn't. I thought it was a great show, but I just wouldn't put it in a stand-up comedy.
I'm really excited to hear what some people might give feedback on some of the things we've said, like
on that. Well, I'm just trying to be honest, and I'm not trying to, because you know how like some people will go deliberately the other way and be like
just to be different. No.
Well, not just to be different, but to play on that audience because they're trying to build their own audience.
Yeah,
I'm trying to be empathetic but honest at the same time. And just for me, it's like as I said, I teared up a couple of times. It's actually really sad but really beautiful. But for me, it just wasn't there's so many political comedians out there now. Like forget about that for a sec. There's like everyone, it's particularly in Australia, I reckon 95% of Australian comedians are like talking shit about the government, blah, 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 which is fine. Do what you want.
Yeah.
But for me, like my style, and whilst I'm still developing my style, I don't really know. Mine's more silly, and it's more about like family and like things that happen in your everyday life. Because I for one want to forget about everything you see for to 24 hours a day on Facebook, on Instagram. Like I want to get away from that. So then I want to cater to that, to people who want to get away from it.
Yeah.
I don't wanna be
There's
told-
enough shit online to make you
Yeah.
a bit sad. Almost. Like you don't need that in
Yeah.
your stand up. You and I were talking about it the other
Yeah.
week in Australia with the bushfires, and I think that's what we were talking about.
Yeah.
And you're like, I just need to get away from it. Like I actually had to throw my phone away.
Yeah. Kobe Bryant recently.
Kobe Bryant, yeah.
Like that really hit me hard. Like but
Because you get in a hole. You
do, and you can just wallow in that sort of.
Yeah, I tend to think the same with political comedy. Like, yes, okay, it's fucked at the moment, but I don't need every American comedian talking to me about Donald Trump. Not to mention, you're going to date your shit by doing it because, like, come on, everyone's doing
You are
it.
dating
And also,
it,
like,
yeah.
this isn't going to be relevant forever. Let's talk
Yeah.
about, that's why I love Seinfeld. Seinfeld deliberately doesn't.
Yes. Yeah.
And his shit is relevant
Yeah.
forever.
Forever.
And you can, doesn't matter what mood you're in, you'll always appreciate it.
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit, I get what you're saying. Like,
Yeah.
we just want to escape it.
Yeah.
So
And that's
Netflix
the
is
thing.
doing an honourable thing by giving us so much of it.
Yeah.
At least we've got options.
Well, that is true, and
That is
they
true.
give the ones that will get a bit of backlash. Like I know Tom Segura got in a lot of trouble for his last one. He basically hung shit on, I think it was Tennessee or I don't know what, an American state where he basically was like, let's build a wall around, around that.
But that's what I like about what Netflix is doing. They don't give notes. They don't fucking tell a comedian what they can and
No.
can't say. Netflix almost welcomes the backlash. They're like,
Yeah,
fucking get a little
whereas
controversial.
you know
It's
who
all right.
you know who is too censored now, which is very dangerous for how big they are. YouTube. They will pull shit that they don't believe is like their sort of.
Well, you can report things.
Well, you can, and I
I'm
hope
sure
it-
people do it.
Yeah, man, but people have
Absolutely.
nothing better to do than to report things. If you report something and it's not like a live murder, you're an asshole.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to get any. Like nothing's gonna progress as a society if you see something you don't like and you go, report, instead of, I don't know, like
Have a say.
Have a say.
Have a comment. That's all right.
Yeah.
Like, you can comment if you don't like something. That's
yeah,
fine.
constructive.
Don't fucking have it taken down.
No.
You
no,
see that
what
on
does that do?
Instagram,
That
you
just
see it on
builds
everything.
more. Every time, like, let's think of it from like a terrorist point of view. Every time the leader or a group gets taken down, what happens? Another one pops
Yeah,
up.
they pop up in
You
their place.
like be grown ups and talk about it. Like people want to be progressive.
Yeah.
And the ones who are deliberately shocking, that's their shtick. Like
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
But just like I don't know. I don't even know where I'm really going with this.
I don't know. We got off onto a spin after talking about Netflix,
Yeah.
not necessarily censoring, and then other people
YouTube,
do censor.
they censor too much
Yeah.
for mine. But and that could, if that goes too far down one way, who knows, another YouTube-esque thing will pop up where they go, you can do and say whatever you want.
Yeah.
And that will be just a shitstorm. So YouTube should allow these things to happen and just, sure, you don't have to pay advertising for it, but don't pull it down.
No.
Unless it's actually committing a crime. And I know hate speech, that's a very fine line.
No, it's
And
a
who
hard
am I
line,
to
yeah.
decide what is and isn't?
Mate, we've
mean,
recorded this podcast. I don't even know what we could get bloody dragged across the coals for saying.
well,
I don't think we've said anything wrong.
Yeah,
Mind
yeah.
you.
And this show's brought to you by.
Yeah, Cheeky Leprechaun Productions.
Yeah.
So take it up with them. I don't know. It's fucking hard. I wouldn't want to be a stand-up, put it that way. And when you're back on stage next, good luck with it. I hope.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows? I might do a little set next year. A little open
What
mic.
do you mean next year? It's only January.
Next year.
No, next year.
Yeah, sorry, I got a little bit bogan there.
We could do a duo. See if that works out.
Fuck, maybe people come out. Maybe someone listening to this will be like, I'll come give you a little support.
I tell you what, it'd be a lot
It's a
easier
lot of
doing it with
pressure.
someone else. But then there's a lot more organising with someone else.
If they listen to this,
If anyone knows anything about relying on others, it's
Yeah.
you, and you're like, you wouldn't like it.
nah, it'd be stressful.
Nah, that's why podcasts are good if you're doing it just by yourself.
Oh, we're not trying to please anyone but ourselves at this point, are we?
Yeah.
I mean, no, I care what you think, the listener,
Yeah,
to an extent. I don't care what you think about my coffee order, but otherwise,
yeah.
everything else is important.
Who
on here,
knows?
isn't it?
Maybe they care so much about what you get that almond lattes might start skyrocketing.
That's exactly right. They might. They might. Or a long black.
Yeah.
Speaking of, you want to go get one?
Well, let's do it, mate.
All right,
It's
let's
been a
wrap this
pleasure.
up, mate. Thank you very much for
thank
stopping
you,
by,
Daniel.
talking a little comedy.
Yeah.
Have you back sometime? You keen to come back?
Absolutely. Yeah, this is
Absolutely,
great.
mate. Thank you very much, Benny.
Thank you.
This has been a Cheeky Leprechaun production.